Welcome back to New Day. Karl Rove may have thrown the first punch, but the Clintons don't seem to be afraid to swing back. Wednesday, both Clintons held public events, and while Hillary stayed quiet on the topic of her health, the former president had more to say. Take a listen.
First of all, I got to give him credit. You know, that embodies that old saying that consistency is the hobgoblin of little minds. First, they said she faked her concussion. And now they say she's auditioning for a part on The Walking Dead. Now they say she's really got brain damage.
You think they're just
if
trying
she does, then I must be in really tough shape because she's still quicker than I am.
For more, let's bring in Richard Socarides, former senior advisor to Bill Clinton and Democratic strategist, and Sherry Jacobus, GOP strategist and president of Capital Strategies PR. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning. Good morning.
So this, of course, to reverse and to go forward, this stems from Karl Rove in this off-the-record gathering saying that Hillary Clinton suffered a traumatic brain injury, and then it's kind of, and her health is a big question, and should be a big question, is what he said. Now you have Bill Clinton coming out to his wife's defense, even before she comes out. Are you surprised that he did?
No, I think he says whatever he wants, whenever he wants to, and I think it's natural.
Is it dangerous, though?
I mean, I don't think it's dangerous because I think he's a great communicator, and he always speaks the truth and right on point. So, you know, I mean, I think people admire him and respect him and know that he's telling the truth.
There are gnashing of teeth going on right beside him.
Yes, I don't know if Bill Clinton always tells the truth, but there's a couple of things wrong with this. He also said that his wife took 6 months to recover from the fall and the concussion. That raises serious issues. I think that it's a mistake to make it be a partisan thing, saying Republicans are saying X or whatever. Any serious presidential candidate's health is going to be looked at, as well as everything in their life and their career. Another thing that I find interesting is that Bill Clinton is out there talking about it. Hillary Clinton cannot hide behind her husband on this. I think it was an interesting decision, if it was one, to have him come out and say anything. Perhaps the Clinton camp should make a decision that Bill Clinton's role should be that as a former president who's related to the candidate, much like the senior George H.W. Bush was to George W. Bush. And that's probably the role for him. I think his response was a little sloppy. He's a little out of practice, and they better clarify his role.
How can it backfire? How is that a problem, Sherry, do you think, for the Clintons, if he's out there speaking?
He's off the cuff. He's claiming that he's claiming things about her health that we don't know. This is going to come up in a Democratic primary, by the way. Just as Joe Biden had 2 brain aneurysms, one time was given last rites. This is serious business. So to try and claim that this is an attack by Republicans, or this is, you know, she's a hothouse orchid, we can't talk about this about Hillary Clinton or that. We're going to talk about her record or her lack of record. We're going to talk about when she's trying to hide behind either the Obama administration or her husband. She has to be responsible.
The criticism is, then do that. Right. This did come off like a cheap shot. That's why other Republicans went after Rove for it.
But he's not running for president. She is.
I know,
so
but going after she may have a brain injury was too far, and that's why he got slapped back. It was a smart move because he got us talking about it.
And it's already out there in the
So now you can talk about the legitimate
right?
issue. But then you get to a second point that I'll give you more credit on, which is Bill Clinton, whom you use to say this is what the truth is about something? No disrespect to the president, but especially you talk about Benghazi, and he says, here's the truth, given his past with the truth.
Well, let's listen to the soundbite. We've got that soundbite of Bill Clinton talking about what happened in Benghazi.
They looked into what was wrong. They gave 29 recommendations. She took them and started implementing them. And they established the fact that whether it was right or wrong in the past, secretaries of state never were involved directly in these security decisions.
Does it open you up to people saying, well, this is the guy who said what is, and you know this and that, and now he's telling us what's true?
Listen, here's the point. He's a former president. He's Hillary's husband, but he's also a former president of the United States. He was asked a question, so, you know, he's got to respond, right? I mean, I don't think he's giving the official response, right? I mean, I think he responded in a fairly muted fashion. He said there were recommendations, they were followed. I mean, I think he is, you know, entitled to speak on foreign policy issues. He's a former leader of the free world. But, you know, her record obviously will be fully considered. I mean, I don't think, she was Secretary of State for a long time. The world's a complicated place. I think people understand that. We don't blame everything that goes on in the world on the person who's the Secretary of State, just like we don't blame 9/11 on President George W. Bush. We don't blame everything that happens in the world on the person who's the Secretary of State at the time. But so, there's a lot here. I think Mr. Rove was very effective, has used a very effective
All right, I got you on that, but
trick.
Sharon, respond to the
Benghazi,
point.
Yeah, on the Benghazi issue, former President Bill Clinton probably really stepped over the line on this one. I imagine they're all trying to pull him back on that. The question about Hillary Clinton as Secretary of State with regard to Benghazi has more to do with what happened before, not the recommendations afterwards, as Bill Clinton was talking about. What happened before, her role in that, in the decisions in terms of denying the help that was requested by the now late Ambassador Stevens. So this and other questions are key, and I think they need to really pull Bill Clinton back. He's not as good at this now as he used to be. He's not up on the facts.
That's great advice,
and if
Sherry.
he is speaking
I don't
for
think
his
we'll be
wife,
taking your
if
advice.
he is speaking for his wife and on behalf of the Obama administration, then that should be a decision. This sounded like it was kind of an accident.
I'm not sure what that means. He's speaking for his wife on behalf of the Obama administration. I think that's what's
She was
happening
the
is now
Obama
is a lot
Secretary
of
of State,
lot
not
of things
his.
are being mushed together, conflated. I mean, the truth is that she is not a declared candidate for president. Her husband, the former president, was on a panel. He was asked a question. I think he gave a fairly straightforward, simple answer, defending his wife, who's just been attacked by the Republican Party because they have nothing else to talk about. So,
there is, we'll leave it there, but it is interesting, though. There is speculation that we had this discussion, it was part of our discussion yesterday, about how they had been above the political fray. But does this show that they are no longer above the political fray? The fact that Bill Clinton's coming out to take on Karl Rove, defend his wife's record on what happened in Benghazi and his wife's record at the State Department. Does this show an entering into the new phase of the potential possible, maybe not,
I'll
candidacy?
say yes so that the EP doesn't yell at us.
Thank you.
And while it may not be about politics, this feels like political season now. I got all amped up
I
during
got
this
excited.
conversation.
there's no more break, right? There's no
You
more
guys
break.
are doing the right job, so it's happening. It just started. Everybody, the election just started. This was the official start. This is how it happens.
You didn't know it. Thanks, guys. Great to see you.